You ever think about that? How you could do absolutely everything right, build something just perfect, pull off something no one thought was possible, and then lose it all in a single moment? Well, that's what we're digging into today. We're looking at how authority, even when it's built flawlessly, can just completely crumble because of one final, unfinished action. And this quote right here really gets to the heart of it. The idea is that your authority, your credibility, it isn't chipped away by a bunch of little mistakes. No. It's shattered in a single moment, the one moment of truth, of verification that shows a crack was there all along. And this idea of ethos, which is all about the character you're showing right now, is the key to the whole thing.
To really get this, we've got to go way back to ancient Greece and talk about a guy named Orpheus. Now, Orpheus was the son of Apollo, the god of truth, and Calliope, the muse of epic poetry. So, he had some serious pedigree. And he had a voice that could, quite literally, move the unmovable.
I mean, listen to this. When he played his music, rocks would lean in to hear better. Rivers would actually slow down. Trees would pull up their own roots to get closer. Think about that for a second. For the ancient Greeks, this was not some flowery metaphor. They believed this was a literal fact. His music was so true, so perfectly in tune with reality itself, that the world had no choice but to listen.
So, his world seems absolutely perfect. And then, bam, it's shattered. On his wedding day, of all days, his wife Eurydice is killed by a snake bite. It's this horrible, random act of fate that kicks off a journey that no living person was ever supposed to take.
So, what does he do? Orpheus decides to go to the underworld himself. He doesn't bring weapons, he doesn't have some magic charm. All he has is his lyre and his voice. He's basically taking the purest expression of who he is straight to the king and queen of the dead. And it works. He actually does the impossible. His music is so powerful it moves the gods of the underworld. The Furies, these terrifying goddesses of vengeance, they weep for the very first time. Sisyphus gets to stop rolling his boulder. Hades and Persephone themselves are so moved, they agree to let Eurydice go back with him, back to the world of the living. But, of course, there's a catch. Just one. It's a single, very clear, absolute condition. He has to walk in front of her all the way out, and he cannot, under any circumstances, look back. Not until they are both standing fully in the sunlight. The deal is made. So he starts that long, dark journey back. He can't hear her footsteps, just the crushing total silence of the dead. And he gets all the way there. I mean, he is right at the edge of the living world. He can see the light. And right there, in that last moment, he's overwhelmed by doubt. Is she really there? He turns around, he looks back, and she was there. But in that one instant, she just fades away, pulled back into the darkness forever. He lost her.
So why, right? That's the question. Why did that one single act of doubt completely unravel everything? He had literally convinced death to change its mind, only to fail at the finish line. Well, to figure that out, we need to bring in a philosopher who knew a thing or two about the art of persuasion. And that philosopher is Aristotle. He basically gave us the blueprint to understand exactly what happened to Orpheus. And the two key ideas we need are ethos, from his work on rhetoric, and another concept called Hamartia, from his poetics. Okay, so first up, ethos. Aristotle was super specific about this. Ethos isn't your reputation, it's not your list of accomplishments or your credentials. It is the character, the credibility, the person you are actively performing and demonstrating in this exact moment. It's not what you've done in the past, it's what you are doing right now. And this just perfectly explains Orpheus's power, doesn't it? The rocks and the rivers, they didn't care about his resume. They were responding to the pure, total commitment they sensed in his music as it was happening. That was his ethos. That was his power. All right, the second idea is hamartia. Now, you might have heard this translated as a fatal flaw, but that's not quite right. It's more subtle. For Aristotle, hamartia is an error in judgment that comes directly from a hero's greatest strength. You can think of it like the shadow that is inevitably cast by their brightest light, their biggest virtue. So, you see, Orpheus, looking back, that wasn't a sign that he didn't love Eurydice enough. It was the exact opposite. It was the direct result of a love so powerful, so all-consuming, the same love that moved the gods, that it simply could not stand the dead silence of the underworld. It felt like she was gone. His greatest strength, his incredible love, is what caused his fatal error. So what does a myth that's thousands of years old have to do with us today? Well, everything, actually. This exact same dynamic is playing out right now, every single day, in how we build authority in a world that is being read and judged by algorithms. We are all Orpheus, standing at that threshold.
Let's just break this down. For Orpheus, his lyre was his demonstrated presence, his ethos. For us today, that's our canonical record, all the structured proof of our expertise that lives online. His backward glance, his moment of doubt, that's our unfinished last act, that one missing piece of our digital infrastructure. And the final judgment from the gods of the underworld. Well, today, that's the AI suggestion about who is and who isn't an authority.
Which brings us to this really useful modern idea. The concept is that AIs don't recommend things the way a person does, based on feelings or biases. Instead, they suggest things by recognizing patterns. They're looking for patterns of demonstrated authority in your digital footprint. In a weird way, they're looking for the same thing the rocks were listening for in Orpheus's music, a complete, coherent, and powerful signal. And when your digital record has a hole in it, when that last act isn't finished at the exact moment a search happens, that's when you have a catastrophic failure of trust. Your entire infrastructure of authority breaks down at that single point of verification, all because that last piece didn't live up to the promise of all the other pieces. It's the modern-day backward glance. So this is the big question, isn't it? How do we avoid that? How do we make sure we actually complete that last act? How do we build an infrastructure of authority that we can trust, even when, especially when, it's working silently in the background where we can't see it? Well, here are 3 really practical steps. First, you have to audit your canonical record. That means going out and finding all the scattered pieces of proof about your expertise. Second, you've got to unify all those fragments, bring them together into one single coherent source of truth. And third, you have to build structured proof. You have to create answers in a way that machines can read and understand, so your authority is established before anyone even has to ask. At the end of the day, this is really the whole story. The only kind of authority, the only ethos that actually lasts is the one that was already finished, already complete, before it got tested. You can't be building it when the moment of truth arrives. The work has to be done beforehand, in the quiet. And that leaves us with one final, pretty challenging question for you. Right now, your digital presence, your authority infrastructure, it's working away in the silence, just like Eurydice was walking behind Orpheus in the darkness. The question is, have you built it well enough, completely enough, that you can trust it's there, without feeling that urge to turn around and look back?